That's just what's happening. But I mean, whilst people are kind of connecting and we are trying to figure out the entirety of metaverse, maybe I could get some round of names. My name is Margot. This is Talkaoke. Hello, Margarita. You're still connecting. Who is this?
Hello, I'm Simon. Welcome.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin. And we've got Mikey there on the consoles. Do we have people online? Anyone who's successfully connected to the sound? Margarita, do you want to say hello? We can just do a little sound test. Margarita, can you hear us? Some more people joining, which is always nice. Hello, 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 people. I feel like we need some more intro music. Keep it going. And the heartbeat as well. Because, you know, we all have a heart, and that's what we have in common, hopefully. But hopefully that's not the only thing we've got in common. Hello, people. Welcome, people online. We haven't yet had a successful sound check from people online. So if you can hear us, can you give us a little verbal hello?
Hi, hello.
Yeah, you can do this. Fantastic. Thanks, people. And who I've just done a round of names, but I don't mind doing it again. Actually, I'm not going to do it. Why don't people do it themselves? And then we'll get your names, people online as well. But all in all, this is Talkaoke, which is a pop-up talk show. And today it's a fundraiser for a very important cause. It's for Ukraine. So yeah, let's get a round of names again very quickly.
Hello, I'm Simon.
Hi, my name is Laura.
Hello, I'm Justin.
And I'm Margot, as I said, and just without any kind of, you know, pointing fingers, who do we have online? Just speak, take it away, give us your name.
I'm Nicholas, hi.
Hi, Nicholas. Good to meet you.
Hi, my name's Ewan.
Hey, Ewan. Really good to see you there. Margarita, are you able to hear? Well, are we able to hear you? That's the question. I think you can hear us. Okay. To be continued. But yeah, so here we are. We are actually here in Poplar. We're in East London. Where is everybody kind of joining from today? People online, where are you based? Ewan, where are you based? Are you?
Currently in Huddersfield at the minute.
Oh.
Sorry, where are you at the moment?
I'm just in Huddersfield at the moment. Huddersfield?
I don't know where that is. Literally, I'm going to even stop the music.
Right. West Yorkshire, between Leeds and Manchester.
I know where it is, yeah.
Yay! So it's a real place. No, that's good. No, because I'm getting some kind of suggestions here. Dollis Hill, which is definitely not in Yorkshire, not to my knowledge. Thank you. And who is this? Just pressing a button.
Hello, my name's Mikey.
Introducing yourself. And we've got Aga online as well. She's connecting to sound. But this is a Talkaoke. This is a pop-up talk show. The way this works is up to people here in the studio and also people online to decide on the direction of the conversation. Today we've got a very special theme. Oh wow, that just happened. Today we've got a very special theme. Today is a Talkaoke concentrating on Ukraine, and it's a Ukrainian fundraiser. We're here with Simon from By Hand Ukraine. And if anybody wants to make a donation, you can. I'm sure somebody is going to drop a little link into the chat.
Yeah, remind us of how we do that. That would be good for people that aren't very good at doing things online.
That's fine. I'm sure Simon or Laura will drop a link to the donation page into the chat. And I will just say we are going out live to Facebook. And apologies for a little delay to start with. This is because Facebook is now decided to ask us hundreds of questions because they merged with Meta or they became Meta. Will that have any impact on the shape of the conversation today? The kind of online world, we don't know. It's up to you. But for every donation you make today, we give you a t-shirt. So how about that? That's quite cool. We don't have any t-shirt based sound effects, do we? No. Okay.
What would that be?
This is a good question. Maybe it's the rustling of some fabric in the wind. But I wondered whether it would make sense. Simon, you're typing something at the moment, but I wonder whether people had anything to kind of get off the chest in terms of Ukraine. Have you got any thoughts? What kind of brought you here? Would be really good to kind of kick this off. And when Simon finished typing, maybe we can find out about Buy Hand Ukraine and what is this initiative? What is going on with this?
Yeah, well, I'll keep it quite brief. It's really simple. I'd been to Ukraine before. I'd met some lovely people, had a great time, and I was really moved by what was happening. And as with lots of things in life, I always want to see for myself because what we get through the media is very often distorted. So I've done some volunteering already, a little bit with Care for Calais, with refugees in London. So it seemed like a logical extension to go over there. So I went for a week to the Poland-Ukraine border, did some volunteering and also did some fact finding and came back with the conclusion that, as I'd expected to find, a lot of people who are just in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to go about their lives, are now in a really bad situation. And there's a tremendous amount of need. And then I met some amazing people who'd come up with a great model of aid, which is where they spent the money over there. So they spend it locally in the economy and they deliver it themselves to people that need it. So no waste, no politics, and the assurance that the aid is going to people that need it. That's it, really.
Okay, thank you, Simon, for this recap. I mean, obviously, you have given us a lot of information. I have dropped the link for donations just there in the chat.
Yeah,
Do
very good.
follow that. I mean, does anybody have any questions to Simon or anything that kind of piqued your interest? I'm interested in this whole idea of what you said, fighting fat whilst fundraising. Is that what you said?
Fact finding. No, so, although funnily enough, we are doing some fitness challenges to raise money with, I've got a great friend called David Vannon who was also very moved by what was happening. And so as soon as I said, hey, I think I might have an idea how we can do some good, then he jumped straight on. And so we did our first fell run last week. We're doing a 26-mile walk on Saturday. We are doing a sponsored paddle in January. But I'm actually, you know what? I know I've got the mic, but actually, I know that in the room is someone who's actually got a way more experience because we haven't actually started delivering any aid yet. There's actually someone on the Zoom chat who's got way more experience. And I don't know if I don't put anyone on the spot, but Ewan actually can maybe kick us off actually and be a lot more interesting than myself, to be honest.
I wouldn't say more interesting, Simon. Everybody's got a good kind of view on trying to do the right thing out in Ukraine, which is cool. So, you know, it's good to everyone really. That's everyone that's getting involved. I spoke to the BBC yesterday actually, and the thing that I kind of said to them, because they were like, it's quite fascinating how this has gone on and how, you know, like, and they were coming from a British point of view, but like how volunteers were just coming out of nowhere and then providing certain skill sets in the areas that they could. And it was like, yeah, it's quite an incredible thing really. I mean, but there's no I, you know, it is literally teamwork. Like I've been operating over in Ukraine since the beginning of the invasion. I go back and forth quite a lot. Simon and I are part of a kind of niche little kind of outdoor tabbing sort of group. And that's kind of how we became acquainted through that. I've had quite a lot of support from that side. And it's about, yeah, I guess just kind of doing the right thing and again, seeing it for yourself to make sure that this is happening. And people have said to me, I mean, I've been everywhere in Ukraine pretty much, more or less into Belgorod itself, delivering humanitarian aid, medical supplies, then providing medical care where needed. I've got like a little team of medics. Myself, I'm a medic as well. And yeah, we just do what we can. But getting back to it is, it's impossible without a network of people, you know, and that's the real importance of Ukraine and the awareness of it. Like, I think in the media it's died down a lot and they don't really see kind of what, I mean, I know people don't see what I've seen. I can just tell that when I speak to people, you know, the horrors, but also the joys, you know, like I was in the Kharkiv region when the counteroffensive was actually happening. And as we're driving our aid vans along, the helicopters are coming streaming right down, more or less the wheels just touching the tops of the vans, you know, keeping as low as they can. And the people were so desperate, you know, like the shelling was going on, granted not within a few meters of us, but it was there. And all they cared about was getting something to eat or making sure that their babies had milk. And it's horrific. But then the relief on their face when they see people who turn up with humanitarian aid, it's incredible. So yeah, so
obviously you have,
sorry.
but that's really brilliant. It's really brilliant to hear the kind of context, and also from somebody who's directly involved in, you know, personally being in Ukraine, and delivering all this fantastic work. But I do wonder whether, you know, I don't want to kind of keep on, you know, putting you on the spot, but I kind of wonder whether there's have you seen any changes? Has anyone kind of had any impressions about how is the conflict? Because you mentioned about things being reported and things that you have seen, maybe, you know, positive and obviously negative. You know, is the coverage changing? Are people, you know, do you feel like there's a constant stream of help going? Do people know what to do? Or you know, how do you keep this kind of momentum going? Is there momentum? Like how is it?
Well, you know, it's the momentum is, how do you say no to someone? So when you're there, then you meet someone who needs help and you're like, well, I'm capable of that and I know someone that can do this. And so now I was kind of talking with a few other good kind of NGOs and humanitarians and medical people, and it was like, it's interesting that all the kind of shysters, should we say, are starting to fade out. You know, the people that were in it for the wrong reasons or all this sort of stuff. And we've kind of sussed out who's genuine, who's not, who, like, for just an example, I'm moving some Starlink consoles for someone and I'm not physically going to do it. Now, normally I would do it, but because of having such a tight network, I know that I can trust people to move that around. And so yeah, so
You know, as well as your
yeah,
own kind of
so
capability.
the momentum keeps going by the support that you get. And if there's no support, you can't really do very much. And that can be financial or like food parcels, medical, whatever your capacity may be.
Yeah. I mean, do you mind? I just want to kind of open it up and just kind of find out from other people. I mean, like,
Yeah, please.
obviously, I mean, and how, you know, are you connected to Ukraine or to the Ukrainian cause in any ways? Are you kind of feeling like maybe the momentum is gone, or is like, no, it's not gone, where me and my networks are, actually keeps going? I kind of wondered whether, yeah, what is other people's kind of impression on of the situation? Do you feel like stuff is being done? Is it about the networks? Is it about being directly involved, or are we just kind of like cozily here in the West, just not really, you know, we've got the kind of opt-out button or something?
No, it is very cozy here, I'm sure, in comparison to in Ukraine, especially. You know, I keep it's normally in the morning when I get up and I turn the heating on. It's the first thing I do these days, where it's got cold here, and you just think about how fucking cold it must be in Ukraine, and they don't have an energy infrastructure anymore. So that it does trouble me, but in a way, you just end up getting on with your life. You know, it's that first thing when you're reading the news. Obviously, you think about it, but then life goes on, doesn't it?
I mean, does life go on? I mean, is it just something that it just naturally goes through its ebbs and flows? Sometimes it's top of the agenda and then it just kind of moves down, and yes, it's sad, but life goes on. Laura, does your life go on?
Yes, my life has to go on. I have no choice. But I wanted to say that in my house, actually, we did not turn the heating yet, even once, because of the rising costs. And it's kind of a challenge as well to see how long can we take it on. But for us, it's a choice. We can say, fuck it, I'm too cold, I'm turning on the heating. Or we have constant access to electricity, so we can have hot tea or hot water bottle every time we want. And I guess those are the things that we take for granted. Like people in the UK, they're like, yeah, we gonna stop paying for the bills because they are rising, and we will just deal with whatever happens. But I don't think they actually have the understanding of how the life just feels like when those things are taken away from you. You know, like if in the building you lose your heating, hot water for a day or 2 days, how miserable you are. But it's just that tiny fraction of time. And yeah, I think it should be a wake-up call for people in the UK right now, with how their life could be if they would be in Ukraine or any other country where they currently are in war, and maybe they don't have those things, and their climate is not, even if it's warm, you know, like not having access to clean water, for example. All those things.
I think it's a really good point. I mean, what do we think about this idea of like maybe doing kind of a personal sacrifice? Does that make, is making point of choosing different things or opting out from putting the heating on, not just because we're pissed off at the British government who didn't sort out the energy bills, but actually not switching your heating on as a deliberate act to support people who just don't even have that option. Does that even, you know, what do people think about this? Also, we've got new people joining as well, so I'll do a summary shortly. But yeah, I mean, Justin, are you keeping your heating on right now in the house?
Yeah, my partner is from a tropical country. She really struggles badly with the cold, but I still struggle. I find it unconscionable. My mind still can't accept that in 2022, 2 European countries are at war. I just still haven't quite grasped that. It's unconscionable to me. And I heard one horrifying suggestion that this might last for 10 years. I mean that the prospect of that is just dumbfounding. And I wondered if the people who are on the ground have any views on how this might pan out. We're coming up now to a year, because it's February, isn't it? It's going to be the anniversary, or and I wonder if people have views on how this might pan out, and you know what the prospects are for peace.
Justin, and welcome new people. Welcome Anna and Aga. I think you have managed to connect your sound, so do give us a little sound check. Just because you've just joined, Anna, I'm just going to do a little very quick recap. This is the Ukrainian fundraiser, and yes, there is a link in the chat to donate if you wish to. We have started by talking about Buy Ukraine. What is this initiative? Something that Simon is involved in. It's about providing direct aid to people affected by the war in Ukraine, and also you working on the ground. You gave us a little bit of a background on, you know, your involvement and the networks that you're building in delivering that aid. We talked briefly about the energy prices. Laura, she's over there now. She almost suggested that them not putting in the household, not putting their heating on, is almost like an act of solidarity of people of Ukraine, not just a big middle finger to the British government and the world. And is that enough? And also, there's a question of momentum. I mean, are we losing momentum with the kind of conversation around Ukraine, around help? Are we just a little bit too cozy here in the West? So this is kind of where we're at, Simon. And so, yeah, if any of this makes sense, you can listen for now. But at any point you want to talk, just give us a shout. Simon, over to you.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of momentum being lost, and I think it's a dangerous thing because human beings habituate to things very quickly, and we're seeing fascism rise in Europe. We're seeing war, as Justin said, and it's amazing and kind of a bit depressing how quickly we come to get used to things and we just accept them. And I think that's how, I was thinking about this just today, and I think that's how a lot of bad things in society play out, because we're shocked initially, and then we just become habituated to it. And then it's like, oh yeah, just, yeah, really bad things are happening. Oh, but what can you do? And one of the reasons why I thought it was particularly timely to start this initiative, Buy Hand Ukraine, is because I could see that people were starting to lose interest a bit, and we were getting used to the situation. And I thought, right, I don't want to do that. I want to sort of break free from, that process.
Just a very quick question also, because Justin, you almost called for us whipping up this crystal ball, looking to the future. How long will this kind of go on for? I mean, obviously it's no trivial matter, but do we know? Can we know how long it's going to go on for? Does anybody, Ewan, do you have any intel? Does anybody have any intel? Can we take some bets? Simon's talking to Vladimir Putin.
I want to be optimistic and say it's all going to end soon, and that's just my nature. But yeah, when you look at other wars, they always go on for a long time. And I just want to pick up on Justin's point that it does seem almost like in the wrong time, because, okay, there's been a lot of wars going on around the world, and they've just been so protracted and led to just horrible suffering. But you just think in Europe, I thought we'd got past all of that. Do you know what I mean? And so, okay, it might not be a discussion so much about what's going to happen but I just do want to actually just concur with Justin that the whole just idea of war in Europe and the suffering, I just think such pointless suffering going on. I just want to mark that and just say, what the fuck? It's 2022. It's about to be 2023. So yeah, it doesn't, to me, it makes no sense, but it is happening.
So is it just a big, what the fuck at the fact of Europe is, Europe has been going on for a little while, had few wars here and there. We thought that maybe we would have known better, but apparently actually Europe doesn't learn. Ukraine is in Europe? Question, I don't know. What does it mean to be in Europe? What does it mean to kind of, do you feel like, you would have done it differently? These are just kind of the questions out there. I'm going to go to people online just in case you wanted to kind of drop in and comment on absolutely anything that's been kind of said. I know, Lara, you've got something to say, but I just want to come to Nicholas. How long is it going to go on for? Can you just give us your prediction?
I have no idea at all. I have no prediction at all.
No prediction.
No.
And what do you think about this question of momentum? Do you feel the momentum is slowly slowing down? I don't know where you're dialing from. You may be anywhere, really. Where are you? How is it?
Bethnal Green.
Big up Bethnal Green.
Yeah, no, I'm not on some oil rig in the Indian Ocean. No, Bethnal Green.
Would you rather be on the oil rig?
No, absolutely not. Climate crime. No, definitely. I'll be on the oil rig sabotaging it. Yeah. Hopefully not killing myself and all of the people working on it.
Yeah, don't worry. This is a recorded session, so pass this information.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not involved in any, kind of risky sabotage, honestly.
No, that's good. That's good to know. Thank you for the reassurance. So, anything kind of what kind of even brought you here?
Well, I'm here, it's a bit of middle class liberal guilt in a sense, because I have to admit I've obviously been I'm a pacifist. I hate all wars. I've been sickened and I'm not going to start crying. I've been sickened and whatever by the whole narrative, the whole situation. But I've literally personally done nothing about it. I've done nothing to help. So that's why I'm here, and I have made a small donation tonight to salve my conscience a tiny bit. I am not going to be one of the kind of brave people that actually goes out there and actually helps people in person. I'm not that person, I'm afraid. But I have at last given something, and so this just is the context, because I know you lot, so that's you're the thing that's given me the push. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good
Nicholas.
for you.
And yes, I mean, yeah, thank you for the donation as well. And yeah, it's kind of like your networks. Maybe it's just a way of kind of fending off the guilt. I think that's a really interesting just to think.
You have to do something. You feel like, I feel like I have to do something, even if it's small, and hopefully it will make a tiny difference, but
It really does. I see it on the ground, and it really does. Like, people don't understand that just even £10 can feed a family on basic supplies, core ingredients for a week. Like, and that's obviously horrific. We don't want that for people, but that is
well,
the
I'm very
reality.
happy to have, going to get choked up. I'm very happy to have helped in a tiny way. So there you are.
Well, that's good. Good for you. And,
Thank you,
and
Nicholas.
people like you keep it going. So well done you. So thank you from the people of Ukraine. I see it. So well done you.
Yeah, and also I think it's an interesting point. Some people are able and they have it in them to go out there and be there in person, like yourself, you, and obviously Simon, you've done some volunteering. But what about people who are kind of out on the peripheries and they are not in a position to do it, or maybe it's not an easy thing to do in general? Like how do you kind of keep it going? Anna, you're kind of rolling your eyes here and there, which makes me think you're thinking. Do come in at any point. This is Talkaoke. The way it works is you people decide on the subject of the conversation. I just merely provide fillers and mic.
I was talking to Hector, who sometimes does some camera work for us, and he's a Polish guy, lives in London. And I was trying to get him to come today, which so far he hasn't. But he was saying that he's got a Ukrainian member of he works for his own film company, and they went out, not Hector, but the Ukrainian guy and another cameraman went out to film what was going on. And you mentioned about this retaking of that area in Ukraine, but to me, that I was just like, I couldn't believe the courage that is it courage that you need to go there and actually go deliberately of your own free will.
Courage, yeah, it is.
I mean, I couldn't believe the courage that they had.
Is it courage? Is it something else to go out there? I mean, would you, if you haven't been down or down to Ukraine? No, because it's kind of to the right and a bit down, isn't it? So, yeah, down to Ukraine. I'm still coming to terms with
over to Ukraine.
Over, thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody put me out of my misery. Thank you.
Heading east.
Yeah, it's a tough language. Laura, I mean, is it bravery? Is it cute? Is it bravery? Is it insanity? And welcome, Ariel.
Hello.
You'll pick up the pieces shortly, but I'll just giving the mic to Laura for now.
What was the question?
Is it bravery, or is it courage, or is it insanity that makes people go over to Ukraine?
Probably a little bit of everything, depending on the person, really. That's my personal opinion. But I wanted to be a voice of an online person who commented on our Facebook page, because now we are also live on Facebook. So you're welcome to share our link. I can pop it into the group chat in a moment. And it's his name is Ihor Kruk. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right, but what he wrote is to switch off the heating in Russian consulates, embassies, buildings in the UK, and it's a little bit of what I was saying before, to kind of give people the feel of what people are experiencing in Ukraine at the moment. So maybe I don't think it will have a huge impact on like how the war it's gonna go, but it's a good, again, reminder for the people to actually realize what is how does it feel, So yeah, that was the comment.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Ihor, for commenting online. And yes, people, if you are on Facebook, even people here in the Zoom chat, please share the link. We are going live on the People Speak Facebook. Share it with other people. Let them join the conversation as well. But this is an interesting point. Could we get the government, for instance, to kind of say to, you know, to dictate how the nation should show support or, you know, deny support to the oppressors? Okay, Rishi Sunak comes out and says, yes, all the Russian embassies all around the UK, we're going to, you know, cut your heating. We don't care. You know, this is our act of making a point of something here. You know, can the legislation, you know, make people act in a certain way, or is that just encroaching on our personal freedoms? I don't know. But welcome, Ariel. This is Talkaoke. It goes in any direction people want it to go. We talked about the losing of the momentum, picking up the momentum, making impact on the ground, from afar, small donations, big donations, donation of time and interest, and yeah, just solidarity, acts of solidarity, like switching off the heating. Also, there was a big question from Justin: how long will it go on for? Do you know how long this war is going to go on for, Ariel? Any predictions from? And also, where are you dialing from?
Dialing in from Devon, so very far away. I have no idea how long the war's going to go on for, to be honest. It's been interesting though, because I was teaching a student earlier who's Russian and has escaped, I guess, to Cyprus. And apparently there are loads of Russians now living in Cyprus because of the forced conscription and stuff. So I think, you know, even if it only lasts like a year or a few more years, it's already having a huge effect that's going to like keep going on for ages, right?
Okay, so there may be, so that you are also kind of bringing in a bit of the outside world, something that kind of made news recently, or well, what's recently, but you know, the conscriptions, you know, how is that? Russians moving to Cyprus, people actually maybe trying to do something, you know, against the policy of their own government, and that's an interesting point.
I mean, I think that's you know, there's a really important point, which is about that actually the Russians, by and large, I mean, I know quite a few Russian people, because I used to have a really good Russian friend. I've not met or spoken to a single Russian person that's in favor of the war. So, you know, we're saying, how can this war happen in the 21st century? In a way, I think it's the Russian government that is anachronistic, and its people are not really in favor of this war, at least all the ones that I've spoken to. So, you know, there's that weird thing that you've got a government that's pursuing a war that its people don't want to actually happen.
Okay, so it looks like from Mikey's perspective, and also we've got a new person joining us live. That's not to say people joining online are less important. We've got hundreds of people online, which is obviously really amazing. But we've got a new person, and I'll take this opportunity to recap names and for you guys to maybe just say something if you haven't yet. So I'm Margot. This is Talkaoke. You may be familiar with this format. I don't know. What is your name?
Andrew.
I'm Justin.
Yes, do the round of applause.
Simon.
Mikey?
Laura.
And we've got people online. We've got Aga. Who? What? Oh, that's me. I've introduced myself, Mike. You missed that memo. And also, you'll hear my voice a lot tonight, but that's not the point. We also have people online. We've got Aga. Aga, can you just, if you are listening, we may be making a cup of tea. You may be switching off your heating. I don't know. But just tell us where you are connecting from, if you can hear it. But we've got Aga, we've got Ariel, we've got Anna. Aga unmuted herself. We've got Margarita, Ewan, and Nicholas. And yes, Aga, hi.
Hi, Margot. How are you?
Yeah, really good. I've got an eye infection. Sorry, it's back to me.
No.
I'm trying to live on. But Aga, where are you dialing from? Where are you based?
Warsaw, Poland.
Wow, okay. How is it in Poland?
Very cold and dark.
How cold are we talking? Is it like minus what, 10, 20?
Oh, it's around 0, you know, so it's not really so bad.
That's actually really quite warm. Is it?
That's warm.
-2 this morning in the UK. Shocking. Anna, I mean, how many degrees where you are and wherever you are? Anna is shocked.
Hello, yes. Yeah, I'm shocked. Can you hear me? Because I can double hear
Oh
myself.
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. This is Wrocław,
Okay, where is that?
and it's the capital of warmth in Poland. Yeah, not taking anything from Warsaw. We know you are at the capital, but yeah, the warmth capital is in Wrocław. So wherever there's a minus in Poland, in Wrocław is always a plus. And nevertheless, it couldn't be a different story this time. We have a +3 degrees.
Oh,
And I see the round of applause. Yes, we have worked for it.
So jealous, so jealous. But I mean, like, what is the perspective like in Poland? I mean, obviously here in the UK, we are a little bit far away. Yeah, people are from different countries, but essentially we are here on an island. Some people are even in Devon, which
Oh my goodness. Yeah, people in Devon.
I know, and Yorkshire as well. So crazy.
Well, the best storytelling is the ones that come from heart and from their own experience. So let me not put my story far away. So my recent company I'm working for, there are 13 nationalities working. There's an English, London-based company. We're in a studio in Wrocław, as I've mentioned earlier, 13 nationalities, which half of them is actually Eastern and Southern Eastern of Europe. None of them supports this situation, what is happening at the moment, and everyone distanced themselves greatly. But we could talk about, what's the policy and how people react as they forced. But let me tell you the heartwarming feeling I had yesterday when I was in a shop with my colleague. We just went out for a lunch, and there was this Ukrainian person in pharmacy wanted to get prescription from the doctor. Person behind the counter couldn't understand because she could not speak Ukrainian, and the other person couldn't speak Polish. So what my friend done, she just offered, to stay over and translate between those two people, so she can get her prescriptions right, and the person can get exactly the help that the person needed. You know what? To witness that on a in the 5 minutes during your lunch break, this is something that I wanted to share. This is the coexistence and feeling as a neighbors, as a people, and having living together. It makes you these moments, these decisions on a daily basis. I have something, I'm going to share it. You say sharing about money, sharing about there were questions about what we can give, about our guild, and what the heating. In Poland now we have like on a household, there's a recommendation to switch the heating down to the 21 degrees, obviously to lower your bills. But apart from other facts, it's not like we want to feel like how it feels like on the far in the east. This is purely economical reasons. The bills are so high, we just can't afford it, and we have jackets, we can wear them. There's no problem whatsoever. We just put another layer. It's fine, it's gonna save us a lot of dosh, so fine with me.
We have got used to having probably overly warm houses, I think, probably.
That's it. You were just thinking, you're talking to a person like they are in Brazil. There's nothing taken from Brazil. Another person from company works in Brazil. So, like while we wearing almost a fur coat, he's like, oh my God, it's so hot, So he lives there. He's the decision. Yeah. But the thing is, this is the different climate. And, before we were dressing appropriately to the weather. And now what we can do, we just giving the warning, wear this, wear that. People are getting cold because there's too hot inside. They go outside and oh my God, it's cold. We don't know what to do.
You've given us quite a lot of points, Anna. So just to recap, so we've got the situation of you've got lots of nationalities working at your workplace, and it's just a question because people are from different places. Do people react to the war differently? Do they have different reactions? This is a question to everybody. That's one of the things that I kind of gleaned from what you were saying. There's a question of little acts of kindness and actually seeing those inspiring little moments just on day-to-day basis. And what about this kind of solidarity between people? I mean, how do you show it? Is it through turning down your heating? Actually, do governments do anything in solidarity, or is it purely economic? Is it just a policy that's supposed to come across in Poland like it's a nice thing to do for Ukraine, but actually Is it doing something else? And many other points. And yeah, I just want to open it up to everyone. And are we just living, have we just got too accustomed to warm homes? Should we not have a bit of warmth in ourselves? Just ignite that
So
spark.
I
Yes,
wanted to
Ariel.
say, I wanted to say about the thing you said about, is the government doing anything? Like, I think there was a thing a few months ago where a lot of companies said, okay, we're pulling out of Russia, we're shutting down our shops like H&M and stuff. And I watched this video where this guy went around these malls in Russia and he found almost all of the companies, they just sold them to another company and they'd rebranded, like changed the name. For example, L'Occitane, they just changed their name to Cyrillic and then kept on going basically. So I think like what the government's doing is sanctions, which obviously just hurt so many people. And then what companies doing is just like complete, it's just the face, right? It's not actually doing anything. So I think it really like those little individual things are so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so so is it just sanctions? There's a question of sanctions as well. Who do they actually hurt? Is it just about being clever about the sanctions? And for anybody who joined, Andrew, I mean, obviously we are talking about Ukraine, but all different facets and aspects of it. We've got people who have been there on the ground delivering aid, but also there's a question of like neighborhood, like who is our neighbor here in Europe, and look, acts of kindness and government versus businesses. Is it like what's that about? Yes, Simon.
Just to go back to something earlier, Nicholas, thank you so much for your donation, but also thank you. You're doubly supporting by just being here because I'm hoping we're going to get a Ukrainian artist shortly, and if they turn up and there's nobody here, then what kind of message is that sending to Ukraine? So
That would be
everyone
rather
that's
awful.
So thank you, man. Everyone that's here tonight is giving their energy, and one of the other reasons to do this as well, because I'm under no illusions that with a little bit of money I raise, I'm going to fix things. Is to keep it in the front of people's minds. So thank you so much. In fact, I got a message today actually from a Ukrainian artist called Daria. I'm going to mangle her name here, but Haratslova, and her message was along the lines of everyone can make a little difference and make the world a better place. And I know that can sound a bit cliched, but she's so was it she said everyone can make a difference and that has the power to improve the world. And so she couldn't make it, but she said thank you very much to everyone tonight. She also said Ukraine is fighting not just for herself but for the safety of Europe, so it is more about everyone's personal responsibilities and values, she guesses. And then just quickly, one of the other points, I was in Wrocław a few weeks back, and
Lots of points. You're testing my memory.
second point, there are only two. One is a big thank you. The second one is I was in Wrocław, and that was very different to being in. Now I'm going to mangle this. Przemyśl, and when you saw the Polish soldiers drilling and preparing with smoke bombs and simulating an attack on their base, you could see that on the border, it's very, very real. And it just reminds you that some people have a lot more at stake than we do.
Also, I'd like to say to people in the studio, we do have teas. So if you want to go and make a tea, you're welcome to it. People online, you need to provide your own tea. But I hope that's...
Margot, can I just recommend something that came to my mind today? Normally I'm cycling to work during summertime, or doing different means of transport, when it's good weather, but because it's cold, I'm taking the train. So that gave me the opportunity to watch people, kind of see what kind of mix of the passengers are there. And I was surprised actually that, because I'm taking it for the last week, there are like 10% of the passengers, they're wearing moro suits, and there are like half of them are women. And it means like moro, like army suits.
All right.
Yeah, I'm like, I never experienced such a thing before. When a regular commute, like 7 a.m. in the morning, and you come back at 4, and they're like, just like regular passengers. Like, they're not like in the service; they're just traveling somewhere. So this is like different for the every John, like everyday John is like traveling to work. I'm like, hang on, every like 2 out of 10 people are wearing army suits and they're sitting next to me. What is happening? So
Okay.
anyway,
Uh,
so
So maybe somebody's got some kind of intel on why are people wearing suddenly khaki kind of, military wear? Is it just in?
Margot, proper women like
And women in
20
particular?
20 years of age,
Well,
you
it's
know.
reservists will be
so, yeah.
signing up. People will have the fear, won't they? They'll, they want to do their bit. So then there'll be more emphasis on supporting that, which means it becomes more obvious rather than just one person in every 100. It's one person in every 10.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's just preparing. Well, what did they say? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah. Also,
But the women, five, colleagues were women amongst them. So I was really proud.
And it's a good thing. It's the unity that we need to have. It's, if we look back at the Second World War, everyone was pulling their weight. So people were doing what they could everywhere, and now it's just the same sort of scenario. We all have a responsibility to look after our neighbours and our people.
I just want to bring in Helen. I don't know, Helen, because we are hearing some sounds coming from you. It could be just you're in the midst of something. It may be just something you want to say. If you do, please do say. I'm kind of looking around the table here as well. If people have got views to kind of throw in. Aga, have you noticed in Warsaw this trend of women wearing military thing? What do you think about this idea of, obviously the war is very present in the news. Is it actually shaping our everyday? Something as trivial maybe as fashion? Is war wear now fashionable? I'm just kind of curious. You don't have to answer obviously this question unless you wish to. But yeah, and Margarita, we've not heard from you at all. Please let us know what your thoughts are on. It could be military chic, could be anything really. I believe you are involved in some interesting projects. Maybe they link up somehow. But yeah, the floor is open. Mikey, you've got your finger up. Anyone online wants to take the mic before I open it? Oh, wait, Margarita. I like your Polish colors mug, obviously. We can't hear you.
Hi.
Yeah, here she is.
Is it Polish?
Yes, obviously to all the Polish people on this call, that includes me. Thank you for this. So what kind of piqued your interest in this conversation? Is it something about, we were talking about conscriptions earlier, we were talking about the women wearing uniforms. How long will it last? What is it about?
How long? I absolutely appreciate and support the idea to fundraise, to support ordinary people, to bring them what they need in the cold, and to, what they need, because their lives were destroyed by the war. That's terrible. But I would also, I'm not a crowdfunder, I'm not crowdfunding now or fundraising or whatever, but there are another fundraisers. I would love to say that to make it shorter, we should support Ukrainian military forces, Ukrainian army.
So, okay, that's a very interesting point there. Yeah. What do people...
But they should stop, they should have enough bombs, rockets, whatever, to stop it. And because I'm listening to the news nearly every day, and what I can say, they say that sometimes they're not attacking as much as they can because they don't have enough equipment, war equipment.
You are wearing a pigeon-based top. I have noticed. You kind of threw a pigeon into the cats or cats into the pigeons. I don't know, but I think it's an interesting point. What do people think about this idea of supporting? What did the pigeon say? That's the one we want. Thank you. That's the one. Got the pigeon sound effect, luckily. But yeah, what about supporting people in Ukraine with actual donations towards the equipment and weapons? They need to fight with something. Come on. So yeah, why? Like, what do you think about that?
Weapons. That's government level. That's not public donation money that should be purchasing, you know, things like that. So Reactaid's stance on all of this, because obviously we're humanitarian and we're medical. So if it's in the interest of preserving life, then we'll do that. So if a soldier doesn't have an appropriate vest, we'll source one for him, or we'll try to, or her. Again, helmets, gloves, anything like that that will keep them warm against the elements or potential threats of ballistics, then yeah, it should be supported in terms of military training and financing the weaponry and such. That has to come from a government level, you know. That's, you know, it's, I don't think, nobody wants this, and if you want a war, then there's something wrong with you, you know. So we shouldn't be meddling with guns and various other things, you know. It's all about doing the right thing for the people who are hungry, you know. As a medic, I come across more hungry people than I do injured people, where you'd think in a war zone you'd see more injured people, but it's not actually the way, you know. How many people Reactaid's helped since it, like, I can't even count, it's beyond thousands now, where people have either had medical help, medical extractions, and be that someone that's been serving in the military there, be they just caught up in the mess of it all, whatever. Like, we don't discriminate, it's about preserving life. So that's just our stance on it. Anyway, yeah, you've got to do your bit, but not get too involved.
Okay, do your bit, but don't get too involved. I mean, is supporting with donations, you know, weapons, is that being involved too much? I mean, like, where did this idea come from, Margarita? Is that something that you know, is that something that's pertinent in with the people that you're speaking to? Also, quick note from Aga, who's on a public transport in Poland. She is reporting there are no military outfits in Warsaw, so it must be a Wrocław thing. After all, were the Polish uniforms? Were they maybe some other uniforms? I don't know. Yeah. Margarita?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But what I can say, I just had in process of collaborating with two Ukrainian artists, a graphic designer and an architect from Kiev. Both led the war. We each has 3 kids, and one is in London, and another, and her partner, artistic partner, is in Switzerland. And they have their own crowdfunder for a mechanized brigade. That's military brigade, and they are fighting in the eastern Ukraine, and they need things. And from time to time, that's very like small, also very individual, private fundraiser, and they help them. And people help them to buy this or that. They do know these people in these brigades. And of course, there is a government level or whatever, but people
the rest of the stuff they need, yeah, of course.
I can't say that we must not support in humanitarian terms. Of course, yes, but in terms of stopping Russians, stopping Putin, stopping killing, raping, torturing Ukrainians, we should.
Yeah. Right, sorry. So Reactaid's, you know, it's just a thing of.
I'm a very aggressive Russian. I feel like
I understand. I understand. I've seen it. I've been right up onto Belgorod border. You know, I've been there. I've seen it, and you know, it's ugly. And you're right. It's the weapons they need to stop the Russians. However, when we're making help, like, so sponsoring a mechanized unit or someone that's in there, that's different, you know, because that's just giving them money and then they purchase what they need with it, or they're being sent the things they ask for. But nobody's going to be sending rocket launchers through the post, or AK-47 rounds, 7.62 rounds. There's going to be none of that. Whereas, you know, that sort of support is so essential. And then you look at the backline behind that, you have the local people that want to live still in the areas. So you reinforce them with extra stuff, so then they can reinforce the soldiers going forward. And we keep this reinforcement line going while the fighting continues, you know, and that's the only way it works, I think. That's how I see it working out there, is that constant support. So the people sitting in the house right now that's donated a 10 or a 5 or whatever, is snowballed that effect to get it to wherever it's actually needed, as long as it's being sent in the right place. And
sorry to kind of interject, but I think this is a really interesting point as well. Like, who do we listen to? You know, because different people will tell us different things, what they need in order to, you know, persist fighting, win the fight, in terms of what they need. Obviously, by hand, Ukraine is delivering different kinds of things to maybe the fundraiser that you're talking about, Margarita. But who, you know, are the governments getting those, you know, that information clearly about what they should be supporting? And is it weapons? Is it something else, Mike? You had your...
Well, I mean, personally, I don't know if Nicholas would agree with this, but as somebody that just doesn't believe in violence and fighting, I'd be quite troubled to be paying for weapons that go to Ukraine and kill people, whether they're Russians or Ukrainians or plenty of other ethnic groups getting killed as well. So I wouldn't want to be sending more weapons. I know that it sounds like you're not helping the cause, but to me personally, I would feel extremely troubled to be providing weaponry.
Yeah.
You, Justin, what is your take on this? Would you be providing weapons, or?
I think it's worth making the point that the achievements of the Ukrainian army in retaking territory are remarkable. And I think there was a drone attack on a Russian airfield. This is incredible that this is possible. And I believe it is in significant part due to the high-tech, state-of-the-art weaponry that the West has provided to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, they've been trained well as well. You see, there's been a lot of lads and ladies going to, like, let's say, for example, coming to the United Kingdom. So I've got a family house up in Scotland, and there's a naval base not too far from there. And you know, Ukrainians were up there getting taught how to use certain systems and certain bits of kit. And I think that, you know, war is not the answer. My ethos is music is the answer, not war. But, like, you know, that's beyond it. I can't just stand on a border going, right, everybody, just stop now because, you know, I'm saying this. So the reality is efficient training and educating people into how to use things into a certain style of what they need for within their genre of whatever they're doing there, then it's a good thing for, and the world has really helped. You know, Poland's been amazing. Like, I've had so many positive experiences from this. There's been loads of negatives and loads of headaches and very dangerous moments, but ultimately it's been very positive. Everyone we've come into contact to, we've made their lives a bit better, even if it's just a little bit, you know, like, or some people, we've changed their lives completely. You know, we've evacuated families to Switzerland, but then off the back of that, then they've got a husband who's still fighting. So suddenly he falls under our books of, like, making sure that he's got, like, food, warm kit, you know, just the essentials, like even things like Sudocrem in case you're doing a lot and you're chafing, and, you know, these things you've got to think about. It's just the stuff you don't think about. It's still stuff that they need, and because they're there doing it on the line in all weather,
But, you
that's
know,
where the support comes.
I just got this question based on what you both and everyone has been saying. But I mean, obviously there are positive things to celebrate as well, but are they as good as at keeping the momentum going? I'm just gonna, or is it better to kind of, you know, let people know about all the gruesome, horrible stuff that's happening just to coax them into caring? Can we be coaxed into support through telling people nice stories? That's just a question I'm throwing out there, but I know, Andrew, you had something to say, so I would like to come to you.
Well, in terms of what you just said, well, I was just going to respond to what you just said. Yeah, in terms of keeping with the news or what's happening in Ukraine right now, I think you need that constant news to tell. I think there's always that scary thing of thinking this is becoming a regular occurrence, as if this is like going to become normal, whereas, you know, in the actual situation is completely horrible. It's not right. So I know that you know, how long has the invasion been going on for? I think it's
9 months.
9 months, isn't it?
Yeah, 9.
9, roughly.
I think
wow.
like
Just over 9.5.
I think it's still as shocking as we first realized at the start what happened. And I think people should keep knowing that's what's happening on the news.
People do need to know.
I think I think, you know, media should constantly, newspaper or I know the government should constantly show what's actually happening right now, and just to put people in perspective, you know, comparing to you know what's happening in the UK, or we're still very well, we're very lucky, and it's absolutely horrible what's happening there. I think I don't know. I think that's maybe also that should be start incorporating into the education. Should be start teaching in school what's happening currently, politics wise, history wise. I think it's just constant education on what's happening.
So, okay, so you've brought in a point, like, actually, I'm going to paraphrase what you said. It's down to media to keep the buzz going about Ukraine. It's also down to education, letting people know about the history, so people are aware of the context of what is happening. But really, yeah, we're just humans here, just trying to live our lives, doing some little acts of solidarity, switching our heating off, as Laura is doing in her house. But really, it's down to the media to keep the buzz going. And yeah, letting us know about all the state-of-the-art military things that are being used in Ukraine, because obviously it's important to know, or is it important to know? I don't know. So there's a question of coverage. Also, welcome new face to the table. That's Sarah. Hello, Sarah. This is Talkaoke.
Hi.
Have you ever been to Talkaoke? Is this your first time?
Yes, it's my first time.
Welcome, welcome. Give her a round of applause. It could be even like with actual hands. We've got a sound effects pad. So far we have Sarah, Helen, Aga, Ariel, Anna, Margarita, Ewan, Nicholas, and here in the studio we've got Andrew, Justin, Laura, Simon, and Mikey, and Margot. And Talkaoke works in a way that we just get some subjects going. I just pass this microphone around, but if there's anything that you kind of want to chip in on, please do let me know, and then yeah, we just get the conversation flowing. I'm just going to pass on to you, Mikey.
I just want to make a quick point about media, because I think the whole point of starting Talkaoke 25 years ago was to say, 25 years, yes, I know, is that we are the media. We, especially now where we've got social media, we might not be in control of the platform, but we can control what content we share. We can, you know, it's up to us to have the discussions that we have. So that's very much part of the whole thing, really.
We've got some people, because we are out here on the street. We've got some heaters. We're trying to get some people in, get them to care a bit more. Failing that, but that's just human condition. But on the subject of the media and amplifying, I just want to amplify the very simple fact that if you make a donation today, you'll get a T-shirt from the People Speak to commemorate also the 25 years of Talkaoke as an alternative media platform. But yes, that's what I wanted to say. I'm going to come to you, Laura.
No, nothing at the moment. We did get a reaction from our dear friend Totem from Uganda. Yes, we are streaming live, so anyone can join us anywhere in the world. But my point, I had 2 points, and we have a dog joining us right now. But my point is, in terms of like, I'll start with my second point. With the fundraiser, I think it's a very interesting subject as well in terms of what people need and what our money go towards. Because here we are in a very good situation, I would say, because we have Simon, who's the brain behind the whole fundraiser. So he's very transparent with everything, so we can ask him anything. But with a lot of fundraiser for Ukraine or for any other reason online, sometimes it's so easy to get tricked. There are still people who would think, oh, I'll make up a fundraiser for Ukraine and just keep the money because I don't give a fuck. And it's just so horrific for me to realize that it's still happening, that there are people who are willing to do something like that. So I'm very cautious about donating or giving money to anybody.
Yeah, we barely receive any money, like, you know, and to think, right, I can't really go into too many details because obviously I've got patients that I look after, but I'm about to evacuate a chap from Ukraine via private airplane, via my ambulance into the United Kingdom. And the cost behind that, I can't even tell you how much that is. And like, I'd be lucky if I get like 60 quid a month sent to our crowdfunder or something like that. You know, it's like, and luckily I've got a good network of people where we don't rely on money. We rely on the solidness of each other's integrity. And it's like, that's become like a currency almost. And then when we have cash injections, we can do more. Like, I'm after an ultrasound. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, the list, everyone that's involved in this has got exactly the same chat as me. It's like, I'm not unique on that. You know, it's, it's just, and it's a shame that there are these shysters out there that are getting plowed with money, plowed with it. Even the big organizations, you know, I'm seeing it pop up on ads here and there, and I'm thinking, I have been everywhere in Ukraine, like everywhere. And I haven't seen them. I've maybe seen one Land Rover or one, you know, and you're kind of thinking, what is this? But, you know, at the end of the day, they're doing stuff that I don't know about. And that's obviously what's happening. So you've got to kind of like, it's not about trying to slag people off or this or that, because ultimately it comes from the donors. And if the donors are not seeing, so kind of tying in with what your question was about, should there be more war in horror, or should there be the good? There's got to be the balance, because people need to see that this is what it is, but this is why we need it. And yeah, but again, money is
I think that's a really good point about transparency also, of, you know, what is being bought, who is doing it, is, you know, a little bit of kind of streetwise, you know, wits about you for, and looking out for anyone who might be, you know, just scamming you on the back of this tragedy that's happening in Ukraine. Just because we've got a few new people joining, I'm just going to do a quick recap, just because that's just how I roll. Welcome. Shall we just do a quick round of names? We've got Mikey, Simon, we've got Evelina, we've got Laura, we've got Justin, and Andrew, and Margot. This is Talkaoke online. We've got a new person joining us, Andre. We've got Sarah, Helen, Aga, Ariel, Anna, Margarita, Ewan, and Nicholas. People joining from Poland, from Bethnal Green in London, Yorkshire, from Devon, all sorts of places. So we've been started off with talking about a fundraiser, people doing it, bringing aid on the ground. We've got Ewan, we've got Simon here, who are behind the behind Ukraine, exactly. We've been talking, I'm just going to skip and hop and jump between different threads. We've been talking about, you know, what kind of help is actually needed. Is it weapons, actually? We know it because some of our Ukrainian friends told us. So it's actually, maybe it's that. Or is it about providing, you know, help, which sometimes isn't monetary? It's about networks, which is what Ewan was talking about. Is it also about the war influencing our everyday life? Is the war in Ukraine responsible for the influx of military fashion in Wrocław, as Anna had told us? And also, how long is it going to go on for? I don't mean this Talkaoke, but you might be asking that question, I don't know. Hopefully not. Also, little acts of kindness, can they help keeping the momentum going, keep the conversation going? And actually, who's responsible for this conversation? Is it actually the media? So this is kind of where we are. We've got hundreds of hands up in the air. I'm going to come to Simon, maybe to Mikey, if no one from the people online wants to say. Yeah, do say if you would like to talk, if you'd like to just throw in something, could be not even related to any of the things that I said. Ariel, you want to say something, and others, obviously, just say when you want to speak. But Simon, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ariel, by the way. That's another TPS t-shirt that's going out the door. Thank you very much, appreciated. Thank you as well also to, going back to Ewan's point about, so this was also partly inspired by what I saw in Poland, but also a friend who started a network in Krakow, and it was all based on trust. And this is the first sort of really public thing that I've done, because initially I thought I'll just do it with friends, because friends will know if you've taken the money. And like, you know, I've been around in Hackney doing like tourism for 10 years. I'm known. So if I don't spend that money correctly, then my name's dirt locally, you know. And so there are some tremendous networks, as Ewan has alluded to, out there doing things on trust. And one of the reasons I went there is I wanted to meet people like that and be able to come back and say, I've looked these people in the eyes, and if they say that they deliver 100% of a transit van load to wherever, then I really believe them. And one of the things that and it reminds me of mutual aid in COVID, right, is just people, like the people that went out to Ukraine, a lot of these volunteers, right, they didn't wait for an invitation from organizations, which, by the way, some of these organizations have a degree of corruption. Even some of the big high street names have got their issues. And so, for example, people have come together, and I'm really pleased to see Sarah, because at the drop of a hat, she produced the beautiful logo that we have for Buy a Hand Ukraine, just like that. She asked me a couple of questions about what it was about, and then bang, that was it. Elaine is another local artist in Hackney who's been incredibly supportive as well. So there's something really amazing going on with networks. And again, it was like in COVID, it wasn't the organizations that we looked to, it was the people, it was the person in your street who said, right, we're going to sort this out together, guys. Let's do this. And I think it's really inspiring. And again, alluding to something Ewan said, some of the stories I heard just from that 1 week at the border, it was really clear that in these situations, you really do see the best and the worst of people. And then one final thing I would say so I thought about what sort of aid we should be delivering. And I thought, you know what, I've marched against violence, I've marched against wars. I've previously called myself a pacifist. So we're not going to supply, we wouldn't get involved in anything military anyway, for all sorts of reasons. But in terms of how we help the Ukrainians, I mean, surely the thing is that we have to ask them what they want. So you might say, who are we to supply weapons to Ukraine? You could flip that around. Who are we to deny Ukrainians? Say, sorry, guys, no, you're just going to have to suck it up. And then watch your country being taken over.
Yeah, I mean, I dare anyone to make that call to the Ukrainian friend and just tell them that. But I think it's a really good point. I mean, like, has the definition of being a pacifist changes when there's a war in Europe? Has your definition of pacifism changed? Ariel, I know that we're going to come to you, but I just want to very quickly introduce new people to the table who just came off the street. They're just completely random people coming to this talk show, which is called Talkaoke. I'm Margot. This is everyone else.
Oh, my name is Shri.
Hi, my name's Roy.
Roy, and we've got other people. I will get them to introduce themselves later. But yeah, this is the Talkaoke. This is a Ukrainian fundraiser. We're talking about direct aid that we are fundraising for, but also just having a wider conversation about the war, about the support, about all the different things that people can do. Also, you mentioned the logo. I didn't realize we had the artists in the room. Maybe you've got some more artists in the room. I don't know. But what is the what has art got to do with this whole thing? Anything? Or, can art be a weapon? We also have a dog. I don't know if you can see. The dog is just down here. If you look into my, oh no, wait. There's a dog. Come, Daddy. There's a dog. Anyway, you'll have to believe me. But this is where we are at. So sorry, Ariel, if this is just like completely through you. You've forgotten your own name, what you were going to say, but over to you.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the pacifism thing because I've been thinking about it a lot recently. And like, the thing is, right, in the UK, for someone like me, whatever, the choice, if it's like, ooh, am I going to give weapons to Ukraine? Am I not? Like, that's not even a choice that's going to come up in my life, right? So saying you're a pacifist, it's like, what does that actually mean? I think it has to be that whatever fundraisers you're supporting, I think you can support, fundraisers that are maybe sending weapons if that's what the Ukrainian people say they need, but still say you're a pacifist, because the important thing is like, we want this war to end. We don't want there to be more wars. And, the whole annexation of Crimea took place not too long ago. And that was obviously like kind of the first step in so much of this stuff happening. So I think it's about doing those random acts of kindness, doing those acts of kindness, donating, but also like really focusing on that strong message, like a strong anti-war message, because I think at this time in the world, it's so important.
How important? I just got a quick question for you, and then I'm just gonna do a little drop the mic moment, because we do have something up our sleeves here in the studio. Again, we can try to post it out to you people on Zoom, but in a minute, you'll soon know whether you want that parcel or not. But I just wanted to ask you, Ariel, like, to what extent is, this kind of anti-war message, to what extent do you actually have to know history and the nuance of history to send that message? Or is it just like one of those, like, peace and love to everyone? Is it just one of those like cliche things, like, or does it mean something actually?
I think it's so important to know the history, because like the whole reason I am talking about this and like think it's so important now is like looking back at what happened with Vietnam. The anti-war movement was so important at like ending that, right? But since then, we now have social media, we now have a constant news cycle. Everyone thinks in a very different way now. It's very easy to get jaded, and it's very easy to get very aggressive and, polarized and partisan about everything. And I feel like when I was a younger, everyone talked, pacifism was a thing that people talked about more. And it just feels like now it's like hardly even on the table as a discussion.
So pacifism maybe has just kind of had its expiry date passing. Are we redefining what being a pacifist is these days? I did promise a drop the mic moment, and here it is. Simon, not only an experienced walker, fundraiser, and just a general all-rounder, he also cooked some Ukrainian borscht. What is a borscht, Simon?
It's what's in it. Oh, right. So a lot of beetroot, this is an experiment, right? I hope you've all made a will. It's got a lot of beetroot in it. It's got some chopped tomatoes. It's got garlic. It's got cabbage, obviously. It's got I brought some. It's got lemon juice, a bit of red wine vinegar, vegetable stock, pepper as well, and also some creme fraiche, which is optional to really top it off.
So there you go. That's what's happening. Obviously, people online, if you want that to be posted to you, we can. It's not a problem for us. The question is, do you want to, or do you believe us? It could be just a T-shirt that we post to you. But if people want borscht, Simon will administer the thing. The other thing is that I'm getting, this is shocking, but I'm getting quite warm, so I'm going to take this layer off. Actually, that's what's going to happen. I just want to kind of take it to the people maybe who haven't said anything yet, or not so much. I mean, are you a pacifist? Is the pacifism kind of something that is a strong enough message? Does it need to be rebranded? What is bringing you here, apart from just being randomly pulled from the street? Obviously, that's a reason like any other. Yes.
I just want to go on to this thing because a few people have mentioned this acts of kindness, and I think I don't know what it really means, but I think the problem with acts of kindness is it's like like one act of violence or act of hatred is probably worth 1,000 acts of kindness to sort of nullify that. So that's the problem, is that you need so many acts of kindness in order to deal with what's going on in a war situation, because there's so much violence. But it's still possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's not equivalent. Someone could just do one stupid thing. We've seen it here in Aberfeldy Street, like one act of violence that injures or kills a young person, just changes the narrative for years in the area.
Is there a way to kind of counterbalance it? There's always, like, there's that saying, I don't know how it goes, but it's something along the lines of one what is it? One person spoils the fun for everyone, right? So
one rotten apple.
Thank you. So back to kind of vegetarian references, like the borscht is vegetarian, but I mean, like, is it possible to counterbalance or with kindness or positive deeds some terrible things that are kind of going down? Is it even or is it just forever this kind of tug of war actually between good and evil, and okay, we've got the war now, it's going to be something amazing next time maybe? Are we just always forever caught in this this kind of struggle in the world? Yes, Roy, well, luckily for everyone, Roy has got the answer.
I think what Mikey said is a really good point, and I think we are kind of in a struggle permanently. I think it's quite easy to take for granted the kind of freedoms that we have in Europe or have had in Europe. And I think that this war kind of focuses the mind a bit, and it probably is a constant struggle and a constant effort to make sure that democracy is working, I think.
You just made me think of, also, Sarah, did you want to say something? No, no, no comment. No, but I just wondered, because you mentioned about our personal freedoms or freedoms. I mean, are we actually able to give up any freedoms? Also, where's this bush? It's just one. Yeah, definitely. I want some. Yeah, Mikey can swap with me. But do you have anything that you want to leave us with? I feel like you're going.
I need to make the dinner. So, I have no idea what it is. Maybe some.
One bush, please. Yes, sir. What do you make of this? Do you think that is still existing conversation?
Yes, it do exist because the place where I work, my manager, she's a Ukrainian. So I've seen there's like normal conversation with her like couple of times. So I think it's still there. And the people right now in the Ukraine, they just feel like still not safe. So I don't know, like I'm not sure like much about that, but I feel like it is not good. Whatever it's not good. And not only the people there, but most of the families are here, and I'm seeing one of them every day, and it's not just good.
As you feel like at the community or like a new person, do you feel like
So right now I'm working with the asylum seekers. So in that we have like few people who are from Ukraine and they've been to UK from the Ukraine, and they have like very difficulty in speaking the language. So like in one way I feel like the first step would be like accepting them, and that could be done only like once they know the English, like so helping them learn English or teaching them English. So maybe some charity events where they could learn that makes them like more easy to stay in this country, and feel like more accepted, to be honest.
That's amazing also that you are working. Geez, what's the name of your organization? I mean, you don't have to shout out if you don't want to.
I can't.
Fine, okay, but this is really fantastic. Also, there's some borscht for you. There's some creme fraiche also floating about, and I will have my portion here. Meanwhile, people online, is there anything that you want to kind of throw in? Louisa, also welcome. Ellen, I already mispronounced Ellen's name, but thank you, Simon. No, it's actually Ellen. This is Talkaoke. If you've never been to this is a pop-up talk show. We're just currently chatting, but also eating borscht here in the studio. I'm sorry you can't have borscht, but we did offer to post it to people. So just let us know. Simon will do this. But we've been talking about Ukraine. Obviously, this is why we are here. It's great to get a perspective of who is working with Ukrainian refugees. And also there's a question of how to keep the conversation going. Is it through cuisine? Is it through art, actually? Because we mentioned those things as well. Or is it through providing weapons? Or what's it all about? Unless somebody's got something that they want to say, otherwise I'm going to swap out with Mikey. I'm going to eat a little bit of borscht. People online, anything you want to say? Anything that strikes a chord with you?
Yeah, I'll say something.
Yeah, go on.
So it's good that, like we've come from all walks of life, all different parts, from different bits of education to different experiences. And excuse me, the common good is people coming together, and it's like a snowball effect. So it's a good thing, like talking about things that aren't right, like people have to do it. Excuse me, I don't know where my throat's going. But yeah, people need to do this. People need help, and if people don't help people, then what sort of world do we live in, And that's ultimately, and it's a bit like, so when just saying on the pacifist front, I like to think of myself as a pacifist, but I have a motto when I'm in Ukraine, and there's nothing will stop me getting back to my kids. So, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm a pacifist? Does that mean I'm going out looking for trouble? Or does that just mean that if something's going to get in the way of me getting home to my children, I'm prepared to do whatever I need to do to get home? And I think you can be a pacifist and not want any of this, because none of us do. But it's very interesting when someone's shooting at you, or the rounds, it's a two-way thing, or the rounds are coming in. how quickly a pacifist like myself wants someone on my side to have a gun. And it's just that's the balance. So, and this is what we're facing with Ukraine at the minute. It's the oppression's coming and they're holding it like it's the Eastern Front for the rest of us, you know? And if people aren't aware of this, and when it folds over, if it doesn't, then amazing. It will be like a steamroll effect and all our lives will be messed up. And suddenly we'll find ourselves doing things we never thought we'd be doing, and all of us will. And I don't think anyone will really be able to sit and dictate about like, this is kind of, again, this is upsetting me, or, you know, like emotionally, I don't feel that I should, because it's life and death. And when it's that raw, like it is out there, that's when true character comes out. And it's not for everyone to stand and do something, but everyone can help somewhere along the line. And that's kind of, I think, an important message. It's like, even the smallest thing can do a big thing.
And as you mentioned, Ewan, it's also about people coming together. I think you mentioned, Simon, people did come together during COVID, which was terrible. And we're probably still kind of living with some consequences of that. But maybe war is also one of those even more extreme situations where sometimes you may feel a bit disempowered in action, but actually coming together and having a conversation that can still keep things going. And also a question of like, are you a pacifist if your children are at risk? Would you go out of your way and against your values? Or maybe they're just peacetime values, I don't know. But also welcome, we've got a new person, that's Olga. Olga, thank you so much for joining us. And Margot, this is Talkaoke. I'm just gonna swap out, so please stay tuned. I'm gonna swap out with Mikey and we just carry on the conversation. Also, it is a fundraiser. In this moment, please share a link to a live stream which is going out of this conversation on our Facebook, that's the People Speak Facebook. Please share it, let more people know about what's going on here. If we've got any comments on Facebook, or any other social media, we will read them. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. I'm gonna swap out and maybe we give the mic to Laura. Laura, you were trying to say something. All right, see you on the outside, people.
What I wanted to say, I guess it's my point from earlier that I forgot to say, so maybe I'll go back to it. In terms of helping people and the media kind of transparency. For me, obviously, it helps to have some kind of insight. So rather than just looking at what's in the media, to actually maybe have someone reliable to talk to. I don't think I have any friends in Ukraine at the moment, in like just as in my closest circle. But I come from Poland as well, and I do have a lot of friends in Warsaw who are very involved or have relations with people in Ukraine. So for me, this is my source of information, and I don't know how it's with other people, but I don't think I am able to believe anything that's just not from the person who actually experienced it to some extent, if you know what I mean.
You believe? Before we get this going, just because I'm new in the middle of the table, first of all, I want to say, please, for the sake of the Facebook audience, just keep every so often switch it from speaker to gallery on there so they get a different shot. This keeps it a bit more varied for that Facebook audience. That's for you to do, Margot. Now that I'm on the outside, I can't do it anymore. But anyway, let's just get some names. So we've got online, we've got Ariel, we've got Ewan, we have got Margarita, we've got Sarah, Olga, Aga, and Ellen. If you've got anything to say, do raise your hand or just say something, just wave, maybe just none of that works, just start talking. I will also say that in Talkaoke, we've talked about a lot of stuff, you know, that one of the things we can do in Talkaoke is go tangential and talk about some of the issues around this. So we talked about, you know, there's an interesting chat about pacifism, about how you help, about kindness versus the opposite of kindness, about you know, what you can do about the media, any of these things. It's up to you to decide where you want to take this conversation. And maybe it's none of the above. Maybe now you're on the outside, Margot. You've got an idea what you want to say, but maybe I won't even give you the mic. I'm going to get everyone's, now you know how it feels. I can get everyone's names first of all, and then I'm going to go to Simon, and then to you, Margot. Okay.
Hi, my name's Roy.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Justin.
Laura.
Evelina.
Simon.
Margot.
Okay, so Simon, what are you going to say?
Oh yeah, thank you, and also thank you very much, Olga. I'm hoping you'll have something to say shortly. Thank you for joining us long distance. Just a bit of context to the project. The way I came to this was I'm doing a little bit of work with Care for Calais because some people say, I think it was a South African friend said to one of my friends, our war in Europe, like, you know, do you think there isn't war all over the planet all the time? And I'm conscious that, but one of the things that's happening at the moment is there is a concerted propaganda effort to try and get us to not do anything, right? And it's things like whataboutery. So, for example, on Twitter, trolls, bot farms, for example, I was having this argument with my friend. I was saying, well, you know, lots of countries do bad things, blah blah blah, and you can talk yourself into a sort of moral impasse where you don't take any action and you don't do anything ever, right? And he pointed out to me that there are vested interests who want us to say, well, you know, various nations have done bad things, so why should we help Ukraine? And it's not because those people want us to actually care about those other nations. It's because they don't want us to take any action on Ukraine. And the bigger context of this is with Sarah, actually. I'm working on a project about a World War II refugee who died fleeing fascism. And as I researched that, I was more and more struck with the parallels with what's happening today. And for example, we're in a situation where just a couple of weeks ago, the Russian embassy, and I'm gonna discriminate between the people and the state, the Russian state, put out the rainbow flag with a massive, you know, red cross through it, from the Canadian embassy Twitter feed to say, in Russia, a family is a man and a woman, and that's it. And so there is, I'm so wary of being drawn into some sort of, you know, politicians' war of values, and this is a war of civilization. But it really does, when you look at what Putin's doing, it really does look like a form of fascism to me.
Feels like that, yeah. Okay.
And just this project that I'm doing with Sarah, there's a woman. I discovered a woman who was born in Ukraine, and she saved lots of Jewish people by taking them over the mountains in World War II. And she said, when everyone else was going like, oh, well, you know, what can you do? She was like, no, we have to do something. And she's inspired me. And I think we do have to do something.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hit you around, Evelina.
I don't, but it's tricky. I don't know. We've tried to have a fundraiser at my workplace, which is basically full of artists, and someone who's managing it said no, because once you start, where do you stop? And it's not fair to only fundraise for Ukraine, whereas you don't do that for Jordan, you don't do that for many other places. So I don't know, just wanted to say that, really.
Yeah, okay.
Difficult.
So, I mean, where do you, okay, that was in your workplace. Where do you stand on it? Do you think it's not fair just to focus on one
I mean,
country?
I felt like, okay, you have a point, but that's not, this wouldn't be a first action I take part in. So for me, this is not relevant, because me personally, I do take part, you know, I give what I can to other causes too. And yeah, we do, you forgot, we do have a friend who's half Ukrainian, Aurelia, and she did organize a fundraiser, and we did support that. And, you know, loads of people came, it was all,
But there's definitely an idea, not necessarily from you, but amongst people like, oh, are we just focusing on this, the one war, when we've had war going on all around the place?
Because it is an interesting point, I think, because it's so close. I don't know if you guys have covered that already. It's geographically, it's so close that suddenly people are like, what do you, war, 21st century?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there was a little bit of that actually, Evelina, to start off with, this kind of shock about you know, it being a war in Europe. I'm going to come to Margot, and I noted you, Laura.
Yeah, this is maybe slightly different. Like one question is like, do you believe is supporting Ukrainian fight for independence the same as endorsing American agenda? Because it seems like it's all rolled into one now. North America, USA, United States, thank you. And the second question is, I'm just a bit, this is slightly, very lightly joined up with previous subjects, but I'm just wondering about the architecture of Ukraine and the actual buildings and what it's gonna, like, what is the country actually going to look like? Yeah, I can't imagine like having,
You mean the ruins or the rebuilding?
No, the ruins, like, yeah, the ruins, like just kind of, you know, as something to look at. I think I just can't reconcile that.
Okay, let's spread this out. Laura, you want to say something?
Yeah, we have new people online.
We've got a new person online. We've got Maya. Hello. But
that wasn't my point.
Yeah, that wasn't my point. Okay, but let's just say to Maya, at the moment we're just talking about, this is a free-form conversation. We seem to be stuck on Ukraine. That's for a very good reason, because we've got Simon here who's trying to raise money for By Hand Ukraine, which is an organisation that just takes things by hand to Ukraine. You'll pick up the pieces as you go along, but if you want to say something, just let me know. Laura.
Yeah. Okay, so my point, I just wanted to mention that for the record, I didn't forget about Aurelia in case she's watching. We're just not this close. I'm joking. Yes, in terms of why it's such a different experience for people now with war in Ukraine, and how they feel more connected to it in some way. Because of what you said, like they look more like us, like in terms of like other white people, you know. So then they're like the threat actually becomes more real and well.
Can I just add?
Is it more scary when it happens to white people?
I'm half Syrian, and I was
Yeah.
here when the war in Syria
Yeah.
started. There wasn't such a buzz. It was very well, of course, it was quite a few years ago, but you know, it was a very different approach to how to help. Whereas this gives you, I don't know.
I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think that is sort of focusing on wars in other countries that then start to throw light back over to the war in Syria or what's going on in Syria? Does it start? I mean, right now we're having a conversation about it. Does it actually, or does it take attention away from Syria, or is it neither?
No, I think it's good in a way. I mean, I don't want to say that the war in Ukraine is good. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it makes people think. It's like, okay, it's real. It's happening around the world. It's happening in different places. It's awakening to some extent, maybe. I don't know. No?
Yeah. So is it awakening the actual consciousness of at least people now can?
Yeah. I didn't finish my point. I don't remember what it was. What was I saying?
Okay, well, I'm going to go to Justin and maybe you come back.
I'll lose it then.
Yeah.
Bye.
I think the point was that you didn't forget that you've got a Ukrainian friend, and that's been duly noted. Okay, Justin.
Just one further thing to what Eleanor was saying. One stark difference between this and other wars has been their homes for Ukraine. I mean, we've never had a homes for Syria, have we? People here have opened their homes. Why have they done that? And they didn't open their homes to Syrians. Now, this came up in the news about 2 months ago because it was coming up to the 6 months point. And the government was providing help for 6 months. And I wondered, we haven't actually heard anything more about that recently. And did the government decide to extend their support? Anyone know what happened with that?
What about you, Justin? Would you provide a home for a Ukrainian family?
I don't have a big enough home.
So
a one-bedroom flat really isn't.
Okay, we've got some hands up. I want to extend this out to some of the other faces here as well, and people online. Would you give your home to a Ukrainian family? Justin's got a 1-bedroom flat, so have I. So is that a good enough excuse?
Just on that, someone where I work was trying to offer their home for Ukrainian families coming over, and he was saying that it was actually very difficult to set that up. And I mean, I don't know enough about it, but he was explaining that essentially you, the individual, would sponsor that Ukrainian person or family coming over, rather than the government giving a visa or something like this. So the onus is on you as the person offering the home to make sure that that person is looked after. And I don't know if that's correct, but if anyone does have more information on that, I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah. Okay, and people online do come in on this one. Also, where do we want to go with this conversation? Do we want to talk about the other warfare happening? Do we want to talk about the homes for Ukraine? What about homes for Syrians? It's up to you. It's your show. I'll come to you in a second.
A super quick one, because I know some of the names online, and it's phenomenal, the resource and the expertise and the brains that we've got in the online room. So please do chip in. But just quickly, I mean, I know someone who works in refugee rights. She's an Indigenous person, and she's quite mad about the whole thing, because she says it shows up the hypocrisy of European racism, how we treat different conflicts differently. But me personally, I'd been to Ukraine, I'd met people there, I'd been to arts events, and you do that thing where you go like, oh, I could be you, you could be me. And so when it seems a bit academic for me sometimes, we can sit in a warm bar in Britain and go like, oh, should we do something? Or like, well, maybe we shouldn't. Here's lots of, if you're facing a missile strike or there's a tank coming down your street, it's a luxury that you really don't have. And so I guess in a nutshell, if you want to find reasons to not do something, then you can find a million reasons to not act. But I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Okay, I mean, we haven't, or have we acted in other conflicts around the world, is a question. Laura?
Just after what Simon said, someone switched in my brain. I don't exactly remember what was the phrasing, but basically, if we have this opportunity to even ask ourselves if, like, what should we do? Should we do this or that? We have the choice. Like, just by this, that puts us in such a privileged position, because people who are actually in danger at the moment, they don't have really the choice. Like with what you said, with having, one bedroom flat and not having space to bring someone. If the war would be here and you would need to, like, you wouldn't have a choice. Like, you either help someone, it would be
There
your
might
family,
be-
like even
yeah.
a 1-bedroom flat, like 6 people, just chuck them in, or even 10, like whatever. If it's a safe space, it's a safe space, that's it. So, and with what Evelina was saying, how, now with the war in Ukraine, white people, let me say it this way, feel, they started to feel, me included, much closer to the war, to what, what might happen. Whenever I speak with my family in Poland, maybe now a little bit less, or maybe not, they are freaking out to some extent. They don't know. My mom doesn't have a passport, or my sister was trying to make herself a passport, but they would be always like, oh, I'm just gonna do it later. Like, there is no rush. I can travel with my ID, whatever. And now they're like, we have to do it now, because if something happens, we don't have passports and whatever, things like this. And even for me, I'm living in the UK. I'm quite far from Poland still, but I came to visit, and the other day, and I was sitting in the restaurant with my sister and her boyfriend, and he recently moved, but what he said was that he was very lucky, because he found a flat before the war, so it wasn't as difficult. And I was like, what? Wait, what were you talking about? And what he meant, after the war in Ukraine started, and all the people who came from Ukraine came to Poland, now it's impossible to find a place, because there are so many people who are actually in need.
I mean, how are people responding to that? Are they accepting?
Amazingly.
Was there a point?
Been a bit, yeah. Poland's been amazing. You know what? Like, I didn't know much about Poland, and I was quite well travelled. Like, and I've fallen in love with the country. How they've dealt with me, how they've dealt. I mean, granted, coming back across the borders when the vehicles have taken a beating, not ideal. But that's just an individual. It's not the country itself. But the country itself, oh wow, it's been amazing. Just everybody's been like, you know, what can we do? What can we do? And I think getting back to the sense of this wasn't really about Syria or other places, because we didn't have that mass migration. I know we've had a lot over time, but we haven't had it in such a short period of time. We had like 3 million people cross a border in like 2 weeks or something like that. And then we've got 10 million displaced within country. So everything is just disrupted, you know, like in Poland was like, how can we help? And how can we make it easier for the world to help? So bringing aid in, everything, like even when we have medical planes flying in to just near Reggio, and we don't get any trouble. Everything is obviously above board, but they could be a lot stricter with us. They could be a lot harder with us, but they know what we're doing. And
we just lost you a little bit there. Sorry, Ewan. It might be our, who knows?
No, because it could be my end.
So we just lost the final bit of your point.
That's all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ariel saying, I think it might be our internet, because Ariel heard what you were saying, but it was something about Poland almost being the kind of conduit for aid and actually being very active to actually happen.
Yeah, and they've supported us and supported everybody to get that aid in. And I'm sure, like, I've not really gone through Slovakia on that. I know people that do and however else, but yeah, going through Poland has just been a real joy in a sense, which was something that we'd never expected. And the thing about war is it changes all the time, and the dynamics of the security of how borders work changes on a weekly basis, daily basis, hour basis. You know, we can have a smooth crossing in the morning, and then in the afternoon, when you're bringing someone out, everything's getting searched. So yeah, it's amazing what Poland's done, and the world, to be honest, like the good people in the world. That it's
Okay, we've got some hands raised here, so maybe some questions coming in here. I'm going to just prioritize Olga, as you have not said anything yet. So Olga, welcome. What did you want to say?
Yeah, I want just comment on something that I heard so far. I think, first of all, the difference with the Russian invasion and Russian-Ukrainian war compared to other conflicts is that it affects European security so much, and kind of also transatlantic security. So the impact is much stronger in terms of Europe, and the outcome is kind of getting more and more in war-like kind of strategy in politics, like two European countries, Finland and Sweden, joining NATO, and they had this neutral status. And I was at one conference, it was very interesting explanation that nobody really kind of talking about. So the neutral status of these countries allowed them to be negotiators in conflicts. Now they're losing neutral status, so we have less negotiators in European security system. So the European security system is also going out of balance, or at least losing its status quo. So it's also important thing to bear in mind. So it's not only about Ukraine being close and wide, but this war affects European security system so much, and it's very scary where we're moving with this. So that's also the reason for people really not to sit back, but think about the security of Europe and about the future. Before the NATO, it's a bit of a proxy war, yeah, by NATO against Russia, and it's actually explicitly acknowledged by NATO itself. And NATO previous wars by NATO was against much weaker adversaries, like those countries were way weaker than than NATO, obviously, and Russia is quite a big country. It's not in such an easy battle to win, and that's why there are more things in stake, and situation can get out of hand. And I think the pressure should be to for looking for the way out. I keep talking to academics, to people, and it seems nobody knows the way out.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we kind of hope on military victory, but where it will lead, how it will end, nobody knows. We are for the first time in the situation when we don't know the outcome, we don't know the way out, and we're in this deadly embrace with Russia. We just really we're fighting to. It's scary. It's scary how bad it is, and I think this. I'm looking for solution. I don't know what it can be, but we can't keep killing each other forever. That's something has to be done about this. And this also where civil society has to be involved.
What's that? Well, who has to be involved?
For looking for the way out. I don't know. I wish this bloodshed to stop. I don't know how.
Okay.
I don't know how, to be honest, but it's legitimate to think about how to because first of all, lots of Ukrainians are dying, and certainly I don't want my people to die, and I don't know, we keep fighting, but it's come with such a heavy toll, and we still don't know the number of casualties. Nobody tell us in Ukraine how many people are dead, how many people are wounded.
We've got a lot of hands up here in the studio, so we're going to go back. Thank you for that, Olga. There was a point from Roy as well. Is it?
It was just
yeah.
No, I was just going to ask Ewan a question actually, but maybe he's stepped away from the computer because I don't know what he's doing, but it sounded from what he was speaking about most recently that he was quite actively involved in helping out people in Ukraine. So I was just interested to hear a bit more about that.
Okay, I mean, we did hear about that a little bit earlier on. So we have heard that. There was also a point, I think, from Margot. We might have to ask you to.
I just want to make my point that there is still a lot of humanitarian kind of aims in Ukraine. There are a lot of things that has to be done even on from pacifist view. There are a lot of things that people need, and there is infrastructure is destroyed. There is no electricity. There is no heating, no water. There are so many things that can be done. That was my point.
Where would you start? I mean, that's one of the things is, you know, I think Simon, who's and you, and their starting point is just to get in and do what they can on a personal basis. You might have other suggestions, Olga, of what the starting point should be. I mean, yes, it's a dire situation where the infrastructure of Ukraine is destroyed. What is the starting point for that? I don't know if that was the point you're going to make, Margot, or something else.
It's not, but it could be. I think what I've noticed, I heard on the news recently, that apparently Duolingo, their language learning platform, is celebrate, like, you know, they've got so many people learning Ukrainian right now. Okay, it's a small thing, maybe it's a stupid thing, but I think that's great. And I think that need to learn Ukrainian comes from somewhere. Presumably, people want to be able to connect with Ukrainians who maybe come to their country or whatever, but whatever it is, and maybe people have different reasons. I think it's just a nice, optimistic, also little point that people are trying to make an effort and learn Ukrainian. Maybe they can, maybe Duolingo is not the best platform to do it, just saying, but I think it's good that people are learning.
Okay, so people are learning Ukrainian. Is that a starting point? You definitely want to hit that button, please. what is the starting point? What can we do? I know, Olga, you're talking as somebody you're from Ukraine, is that right?
Yes, yes.
So that's, I guess, a different perspective from we're sitting around kind of having a warm, cozy chat. It's a different kind of approach from our side. And in a way, there has been the question about what can we do as people living in the UK mostly, I think. Some people have joined from other European countries as well.
My priorities always go to those who are most vulnerable and affected the most by war, and there are certainly children and their families. There are wounded soldiers, people that need urgent help. So the priorities usually go somewhere when the help is needed the most at the moment, and thereby you try to fill the gaps. So it's just finding the agenda for yourself. I personally have a very good friends in Voices of Children organization, the foundation that help displaced children and their families. And yeah, that's where I stand. I always try to help first someone that is in most vulnerable position. And actually people that stay in Ukraine, they lost their homes, everything, they are in the most vulnerable position, more vulnerable than people that managed to immigrate to other countries, and people lost their jobs. There is no, the economy is in ruins. You can't earn money very easily. Children are psychologically distressed. So I think there are a lot of things that can be done in this direction. And there is possibility to help there, just to reach out to those organizations and to see what is needed urgently. I think the most important thing is to do what is needed urgently, what is needed now. That's the best help you can give.
Okay, was there a point behind? There's a lot of people. Evelina, did you?
I mean, it's just in terms of what can we do from a Russian perspective, even, you know, how many people want to join the forces? How many people actually want to take part in the war? How many people are forced to do it? We have no information about how many Ukrainians are dead or hurt in any way, but we also don't have any information about what's happening with the Russian people that are maybe forced, or maybe, you know, just a point there's just a lack of information or disinformation to an extent. That's absolutely horrible. But maybe that's a starting point, some sort of an uprising where people in Russia, you know, when people...
I mean, we were talking before you arrived about how there's not a sense that Russian people support this war either. So how can they be compelled to fight a war they're not supporting? Justin, do you have a point? No.
I've got something to say. So my translator is Ukrainian, but his family are Russian. And we had a good chat on the way down to Kharkiv one time, and he said, you know what's interesting? He goes, if Russia, back before they started violence towards Ukraine, if they had come to Ukraine and said, you know, being part of Russia is really good. This is what we can offer. This is what we have. Are you losing some lights here?
No, we just got some lighting issues. It's suddenly, as we're talking about the lights going off in Ukraine.
Yeah.
All come
off.
It
kind of blagged me a bit because I'm used to that happening, and I was like, I mean, no, you're in London.
We don't know how. It was an act of God, let's say.
It's all good.
Yeah, I don't really know how. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your point. We're just going to go to this kind of blackout feel.
It's all right. I mean, totally. This is well, welcome to Ukraine. You know, this is what it's like. You know, like you'd be talking to the people that you work with out there, making the next move, and the next minute everything shuts down because there's no internet, there's no nothing, comes back up again. But anyway, I digress. So he was saying, my translator was saying to me, like, and I love this guy. Like, you know, I met him at the beginning of the invasion at a children's hospital in Lviv, where I would give him products and various things, and I would trust him to pass it on to the right people. Anyway, he was saying that if Russia had come to Ukraine saying, well, being part of Russia's okay. This is what we can offer, and this is this, and this is that. He said he might have had the mindset to say, yeah, Russia's okay for, like, we should be part of this. But the approach that he was like, he couldn't get his head around it, having like his grandfather serving in the Russian military and so on and so forth. He couldn't get his head around the fact that this was the approach of like, you will join us, and this is what we're going to do to you as well. And so he was just like, no, this is like, you know, so I think Russian people are like a lot of Russian people are torn. And again, if you look with the Ukrainian people, they've got so many relatives from Poland, so many relatives from Russia, so many, it's like, I mean, I class myself as a citizen of the world now. I'm from Scotland originally, but like, you know, what right do I have to own Scotland? You know, none. It's just where I was born.
English relatives, Ewan?
Pardon?
Any relatives in England?
Well, interesting you say this. My dad thought he was from Surrey, but it turns out he was adopted and born in Perth in Scotland. So, so it didn't, you know. But it's, well, look, you know, like, I love Scotland, and I love all of the world. This is my point. I love the world, so it's like it's my duty to try and do what I can for the world in the ways that I know how, and by everybody coming together, you know, it can happen. And getting back to what I was saying about my translator Alex, the approach of everything is wrong, because education is the only thing that lets us all grow. And some things will be right, some things will be wrong, and through education we learn that. But we know that violence, and like I've seen firsthand what happened in Bucha. Like I was up in Irpin and all of this. I went over to Kharkiv. I've been down at Izium. Like I was involved with clearing the mines from around that hospital. I've seen it firsthand what's happening out there. And you know, on a human level, children shouldn't be suffering like this. I shouldn't be seeing pets, even something like someone's pet wandering around going, what the hell has just happened? And where is everybody? You know, and that's the very, you know, like, it's just incredible how it's affected the whole parts of like the area, and how beautiful mankind can be by coming and supporting and helping at the same time. And it's that I try to focus on, because if I just focused on all this death, destruction and everything, I'd be destroyed, you know, like I wouldn't be able to function. But again, people like yourself, it inspires me, that because I can't tell you how often I bang my head against the wall going, how am I going to pull this one off? How am I going to do this? That's the story of my life, you know, like, and I have people's lives balancing in my hands, and I don't know what to do. And then next minute, like, you know, oh, actually, yeah, this is getting involved, right? And just a small bit is the BBC have kind of picked up on what I'm doing, and now they're heavily interested. And now, for some reason, they can help me a little bit with money towards things and stuff. And it's not like life-changing stuff, but it will change someone's life. And it's, yeah, it's incredible, like how the delivery of our superpowers, or the powers around us that control our militaries and everything, think they can dictate how people should be. I mean, look, we've got in the EU going, you can have this missile because it goes this miles, but you can't have that one because it goes just a bit too far. Yeah. You know, like it's who makes these decisions? It's mad. And then we're all here trying to help the people who are struggling, like you and I. Like, you know, we're just normal people. Again, like we have our idea of the British military, and it's like, you know, lads want to sign up and girls, and they go off and they choose their career and their profession. But the people I'm meeting out there, he'd be like, look, I was a mechanic. Look, these were the cars. I was into classic cars. And then the next picture would just be obliterated. And he's sitting in a soldier's uniform, family in Switzerland or Sweden or somewhere like that. And he's now, you know, fighting a good cause. And it's not because he chose to do it. And I think that's the shame of what's happened, is like, it wasn't just like a couple of people flexing their armies. It's a couple of people destroying the world. And yes, sorry, I could go on about this for ages. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, and there's a lot we need to do. I think we need to go for lights on rather than lights off, because otherwise, I don't think people can see us online, even though it's a bit too harsh and bright. But there's so much there, you and Olga, that you've given us. The whole point of Talkaoke is up to you where you want to take it. So there's so many different elements. There was a thing there about the education. There's a thing about this kind of connection between countries. We're so international now that, you know, we've all got connections, we've all got friends from so many different countries. It's like, where you want to take this? We talked about the distress of pets, and we've got a pet here in the
Looks
in
very
in
happy
the
this
street, a
way.
happy pet.
Not distressed.
No, but in Ukraine, the pets as well. You mentioned that. So, so many different things. It's up to people where they want to take it. Laura, you've got an idea, or do you, Margie, you're looking at me as if I've overlooked you.
I just wanted to throw in a little point, just kind of like what's going to happen after the war. I think we tried to hedge our bets about when it's going to end, but we don't know. But when it's all over, just kind of projecting into some unknown future, what's going to happen then? I mean, and it's a question also to Olga. Maybe this is too early days, but are people worrying about the amount of debt that Ukraine as a country is getting into, or is that kind of survive first, pay debt or not pay debt later? So, but I just wonder, what's going to happen when Ukraine wins or Russia wins? Like, which is a worse
we
scenario?
don't think this. We don't think that Russia will win. And people are hopeful. People are very hopeful. And it's a survival battle now. You just survive day by day. But everybody is convinced that Ukraine will be rebuilt. And that's what keeps people going. Nobody believes in defeat. And people are very grateful for all other people all over the world that support Ukraine. Ukraine has an incredible support in the world, and it helps. It helps a lot for the struggle, and people prepare to suffer in a way, and everybody believes that Ukraine will be rebuilt. Certainly, this is a very kind of sensitive matter of the deaths and casualties that it's hidden by Ukrainian propaganda as well from the society. It's invisible, and things are really horrible in the places where when the active action is taking place, and simply there is not enough resources, not enough people, not enough help there. That's a horrifying side of this war, and society will have to come to terms with this, but probably later, because I think the government is too afraid to reveal the truth at the moment, just to keep the society in a more or less sane shape, so people wouldn't panic too much. But the truth is horrible. This very, very horrible war. Very cruel war, when the country wants to destroy another country. This is the objective. So the Russian objective is to destroy Ukrainian military completely and to destroy Ukraine economically. And they're just trying to reach this objective. And we losing it. Let's say we're paying a very heavy toll for Ukraine, the one that's paying for this with the lives of the people. So there's the highest price we're paying in this war.
What's the point over here from you, Laura?
That was points from earlier in terms of animals. It's still kind of relevant because, again, I'm going back to social media and how people around the world get the informations about Ukraine and they get involved or not. And I remember when the war in Ukraine started and the majority of people had to run away. There is this very famous cat on Instagram that's from Ukraine. I think his name is Stefan or something like that. And people were absolutely obsessed with making sure that the cat is okay. And I don't know if they were even, well, obviously they would be commenting saying like, oh, I hope you're okay, or you're okay, as I mean plural. No, but as in terms of like plural, because you never see the cat owners on the Instagram, so it's a little bit detached.
But is that in a way a kind of vehicle, and is it easier to sort of project that concern and love onto a cat than it is onto human beings?
I think it's, you know, as much as it's great that it, you know, I guess the owners of the cat use their platform to speak about what, you know, what's really happening in Ukraine, and they were posting some pictures or, you know, commenting, letting people know how their situation looks like. Still, you know, it's great that people got involved and interested in the subject, but it was more like a kind of a fairy tale about a cat running away from Ukraine, and I guess it could end up in any other way, and I wonder how people would react then. You know, there's no, again, me wondering about different scenarios. It, you know, it's just.
I mean, maybe we could carry on thinking through the eyes of the cat how things could actually improve and how things could look better. Maybe that is another way of doing it, is to actually see that through the eyes of the cats. Maybe it's easier because you don't have to think about human beings, and you know, it might be an easier vehicle to actually.
I think there's something kind of is it not easier to empathize with a cat than a person, but I think there's an innocence attached to animals that you don't always have with people, and I think it ties in a bit to the way in which that maybe it's easier to empathize with people from Ukraine and other people from around the world that have been suffering with war. I think there's a kind of otherness that has been put on people that are from further away that has built up over time, mainly through the media, and I suppose you couldn't really apply that quite so easily to people from Ukraine, and it's even harder to apply that to a cat, I guess.
So it's this kind of, is it a coping mechanism, this othering? Is it actually a way to cope with the war? And from a distance, you have to appreciate, this goes out to Olga and you, and you know, we are sitting in just a street, a cozy street in London. It's not that cozy, but it's a lot more cozy than Ukraine. You know, from our perspective, you know, there's this kind of othering that goes on in conflicts around the world. You making a note about that as well, Justin? Have you got a point about that, or are you just listening? Is it time? I'm getting the sign. It might be time to sort of round this up. You know, I think the interesting thing is we are getting to. We've talked about lots of different things, lots of different aspects here of the war and the conflict from our perspective, which is a different perspective to being inside it. I guess maybe it is time to kind of sum that up, maybe, and you know, how do we feel closer? Is actually connecting with actual people in Ukraine in a way the priority here, that so we are actually connecting with people that are there on the ground. I don't know. These are all questions. So is it time maybe to round this up? Final thoughts? What are you thinking? You've got something to say?
Yeah, I think this event has been. This does go on to the final thought that I was going to have, because I like to prepare that well in advance, because I know you'll always ask that question. But no, I think it's really great that this event took place when it did, because I think it's been a while since the war has started. It's not necessarily at the top of everyone's news, wherever they're getting their news from at the moment. It's also coming up to Christmas, where people are feeling more charitable, maybe. And it's been really great for me, I think, because I'm in the same room as, and in the same conversation as people that are actively doing something about it. So I know that if I could go on to, I think I saw that Just Giving link in the meeting chat.
Please do to contribute to the Just Giving. It's to buy hand Ukraine, which with Simon is our representative here of that, if you can call it an organization. That's half of the organization. It's about this direct contact as much as the direct aid to Ukraine. So that is definitely where we're coming from.
Yeah, and to be in the same conversation with people that are actively doing something is really amazing.
I mean, I think it's important as well to say that's the ethos here as well, is actually that direct, it's called by hand because it's about this directness. And in a way, the technology allows us to do that, as well as just the fact that Simon and the other half of By Hand Ukraine are actually driving down to the Ukrainian border to do this as well. Okay, that's it. I mean, I'm going to sort of slowly start to harvest the final thoughts, and that includes you people online. Give us a final thought. It doesn't even need to be about what we've talked about so far. It could also be about what we've missed, maybe, and what we should be talking about, because we don't know really. And to me, I've learned so much.
Well, for my final thought, I mean, it's Ukraine. This is just my final thought might be different tomorrow, but ultimately, I think for anyone that's got a question that's not been there and not seen it or do whatever, is to understand the tragedies are happening there, and a way to help would be, what would I do if it was here? And you can be as extreme as you want or not, and then you'll find that plateau of where you are comfortable helping, and that's how we can help the world. So that's my final thought.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm gonna hit the applause button, and that goes out to anyone online. If you want to give us a final thought. In the meantime, I'm going to go around the table. Andrew, have you got a final thought?
Yeah, just repeating what Roy said, it's good that to have these conversations continue on, so you know what's happening currently, and just to make sure that people know, it's still going on, and there are still people suffering. Other point is that I think few people mentioned about like what's happening in other parts of the world when it comes to other war. I think out of this, I also hope that people be more aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
Our part, I think.
Well, there was a little bit of a suggestion, wasn't there, that by being alive to what's happening in Ukraine, could it actually, rather than detract, actually make people more aware of other
I think, what Roy mentioned about the otherness, I think hopefully that's, we start looking at more, have more empathy in terms of seeing more of yourself and other people and what's happening, like imagining you being in that situation. I hopefully, what came out from this is also encourage people to think more of, be more. I think it's a similar situation happening, let's say, maybe in China and Taiwan in the future. It's good that Putin didn't successfully, Ukraine has been.
So you're a bit concerned about what's happening.
Well, it's just that,
and do people feel the same way about what's
happening? I think it gives mainly Chinese government the way that the war is going on now. The Chinese government might not be as comfortable in invading Taiwan in the future. And I think that is quite important in the sense that.
What is the international response?
Olga mentioned about the war is affecting Europe, but I think it's actually affecting all around the world as well. In the sense that if Putin succeed, then similar situation could happen anywhere else as well. So
that's some great. Thank you. Some great points there. Thanks for that. I can give you a round of applause as well. There we go, Justin.
So just to say, we are coming up to Christmas, we are coming up to the New Year. We hear this term peace on earth a lot at Christmas. Russia is a Christian country too. Perhaps with the New Year, at a time of taking stock, some good sense may prevail. I hope this may happen.
Okay. Peace on earth. Will Russia's Christian values prevail?
Do I have I have so many final thoughts. And I think this is my final thought, that there is never enough time to discuss all those things, because they connect with each other. You know, war with Ukraine connects to other wars around the world, with you know, issues of racism, mental health, obviously politics, and mental health in politics. I think that's another interesting subject that I was recently discussing with someone. How, in my opinion, there should be some kind of doctor that every, let's say, 3 years, just how you call it, tests politicians if they are mentally sane to even be,
Okay, so
you know,
should
doing
politicians have a psychological,
fulfilling the role that they're supposed to. I guess that's very difficult to do, but yeah, some kind of mental awareness in politics. We don't talk about it enough.
Should we be? That's a good final thought, and that's a round of applause for you and for Justin, because we didn't give Justin a round of applause. Should there be a test for politicians, some kind of psychological evaluation? Would that help these kind of situations? Evelyn, a final thought?
I'm on the verge of crying. I don't really have a final thought. No.
Or a final feeling?
A final feeling, yes.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
On the edge.
Okay, we'll give you a round of applause for that.
Well, a final update. We crossed the £1,000 mark tonight, so thank you very, very much to everyone.
Excellent.
Thank you to the people speak. Amazing as ever, and everyone that's brought their time, energy, money, attention, and thought. I guess what's my final thought? That unpalatable as it is, several things can be true at once. So it can be the right thing to do to support Ukraine in every way that they ask, whilst also meaning that those of us that have, you know, spent our lives saying we're opposed to war and this and that, yeah, like several things can be true at once, that it can be the right thing to do, but also maybe it does also play into America's agenda of wearing down Russia through a proxy war. But we're just going to have to, I think, accept that in life, these pure things don't always exist, where something is so clear and so straightforward. And if we allow these things to stop us from taking action, well, so where do we draw the line? If the line's not Ukraine, then is the line Poland? And if the line's not Poland, what is it? Is it Germany? Is it France? Like, where do we stop?
Belgium.
And we could wait. Nobody wanted this situation. It's absolutely horrific. We've just got a little hint of, I mean, I'm sure people like you could tell us. I heard some things just from my week there, you know, what happens to women in combat zones. So very bad things are happening, and doing nothing is also a form of action.
I mean, there's also, I want to marry up the point about the mental health from Laura, and the action stroke inaction also has an effect on our feeling about it. You know, we feel very strongly about it. So doing something, even if it's not the pure thing, is actually, you know, helping us as well.
I once heard this quote: "Not being political is a political statement." Just that.
Okay. So, Margot, we want a final thought from you, but before we get a final thought from you, I also want to put the thing back to gallery so I can see the people online. And we've heard a final thought from you, and there's some other people that have stayed till the end. Okay, well, there's some there's a little t-shirt display. We're going to send these t-shirts, which are hand printed actually by Laura, to all the, what do you call someone that donates? Donors, that's it, exactly. Thank you for the words. To all the donors. So maybe we need to get your size if you're out there watching online and you have donated. Even if you haven't donated, it'd be interesting to know what size you are. Yeah, let's get some final thoughts as well. We haven't heard from Olga and Ariel, so let's get a thought from Ariel. Do you want to say your
Yeah, sure. It's all kind of a bit all over the place, but I think for me, I think it just comes back to empathy, right? Both towards Ukrainians and Russians who are against the war, because if we start thinking about it as, you know, all of these people represent their entire country, then we're going to suddenly start being angry against Russians. And then, as several people have mentioned, then we're sort of kind of playing into the proxy war thing, right? So we do need to be working with pacifist Russians, Russians who are against the war. And we need to not just be pitying people, you know, it's like a deeper form of empathy than that, I think. And you know, it feel like we got the two types of social media buzz talked about. There's, you know, showing the horrors of war right on the news, and then there's a cute cat that everyone wants to save, and it's like these are the two extremes. But I think in the middle point there's just a deep point of human empathy that, you know, is not inherently violent, you know.
I mean, just from listening to this conversation, has it changed your perspective of what you could possibly do?
Absolutely, yeah. I actually I run a podcast for people learning English as a foreign language, and I have loads of listeners in both Russia and Ukraine. And I haven't done anything with my podcast now yet. And it's made me realize I need to do some kind of campaign, or I'll probably reach out to you and actually talk about maybe working together, because I realize I have that reach and I haven't been using my voice. Yeah. And that's, I feel, you know, kind of ashamed of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's happening now. It's some great, you know, it's great how these conversations links people as well. And it's good also to think how we can actually, through conversation, we can actually find new ways of actually contributing. Olga, have you got a final thought for us?
Yes. What I wanted to add in terms of Russian propaganda, for instance, they actually instrumentalize this proxy NATO war very, very well, because I'm watching both kind of media, Russian and Ukrainian, and that's when the Russian society is pretty much scared of kind of America and NATO kind of trying to take apart Russia, and there's also some kind of diplomacy has to be done there, so that Russian government wouldn't instrumentalize this like there is a threat to Russia, because now it's presented as threat to Russia, Russian integrity and Russian people. And Russian society is scared to death by this. You know, they're very, very scared there by this war. And I think that's one thing that also has to be addressed, that West is not there to kind of take Russia apart, take Russian people, you know, so to speak, you know, because there are some, you know, they instigated this fear in society, and certainly in this kind of situation, society clings to the leader, whatever he is. So that's important, not to kind of put everything together and identify Russian people with Putin, because it's a big mistake. And it's easy to say, why don't you protest? But what can you do? There are a lot of people that protested, but you don't hear about them. They resign from their jobs, and no creative people that resign from their jobs, but doesn't do anything, and nobody knows about them. This is the worst thing. So you have to understand that it's not so easy to protest in Russia in current situation. And also people fed all these things on the news. So you have to start thinking that people shouldn't support anything like this. And Russians are very also kind of, they are blindfolded. They just don't see what is happening. So it's a war of perception, and it's very important to win the war of perception. And yes, and find something in the middle, how to appeal for Ukrainian cause. And there are a lot of things that could be done. When everybody contributes a bit, it will make a difference. So just showing where those money can go, what can be achieved with them, how can you help people. I think it's not, because there are a lot of talks about weapons and supplying weapons and other things. So there are very little talk about how can it cheer up the child, how it can help family to survive. So if you would see what those money can do, that I think will make people much more willing to support, because they will see the result. They will see that their money can make difference. It's a great thing if you can help out a child or a family or a dog. There are so many abandoned pets in Ukraine. I have a Facebook group that posts every day asking people to adopt a dog or a cat, or so there is all sorts of things that are possible without a big budget, but that make difference, and that's what is most empowering. You can make difference. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. We have a round of applause and a cheer. I don't know if you can hear that online, Olga, but thanks very much. And I think we're going to end it there unless there's any other final thoughts. It's been a very, it's been a great session, I think, tonight. And I've certainly learned a lot of insights as well, and a lot of connections, and thinking about things in a different way. Sometimes we just see war in this very, I don't know if it's a word, mediatized kind of way, but this is a totally different perspective on what's going on, and I think that's the main thing that I've got from it. So I think we're going to end it there. Thanks to everyone that's donated. Final thought from Margot.
Yeah, I mean, I think just speaking to Simon as well, to pulling it off, to like calling it and putting it in our December diary, and I do hope that the aim £2 grand, I think at the moment it is, at least £2 grand.
Yeah, we're halfway there. Yeah.
Halfway there. And
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody. Yeah.
What's that? Okay. Oh, it's because I turned it down. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna have to say all of that all over again. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was just being. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me now.
Because I turned it.
We're
getting a little bit of online feedback, so I turned it off.
Of propaganda and like silencing voices.
I got silenced the voice. So you're gonna have to say all of that all over again.
No, all I was saying is thank you to Simon for calling this Talkaoke and for suggesting it and for putting it in our December diary. It is before Christmas. Maybe there is a good opportunity for people to, look out to, where else they can put their money or their care, and just keep spreading the good thing. Also, please just share the link with other people. We are halfway in the £2 grand goal.
Halfway there. But also, this is just the beginning, because now we've got this record of this, and hopefully Mark Zuckerberg will approve and will post this all over Facebook.
But he might not. That's
he may not, or his algorithms may not. But hopefully the algorithms will be on our side. And people, if you're watching this online, it's not too late to donate. There will be hopefully a link down there to donate. So yeah, maybe we'll get to that goal just by people watching this video.
Yeah, please watch, share, donate, pass it on. Maybe we'll do it again in the new year. And thank you to everybody who has joined from different corners of the world.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, the people speak. Thank you, everyone that's turned up and given you energy. It's just a reminder that none of us is an island, and that we all need each other. And if we work together, we can do great things. And I feel like Olga brought us back to what Daria also said, that as if everyone does a little bit, then that's how we can make change in the world. So thanks, guys, and more power to you all. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to end it there, but it's not too late to hit the donate button. You can do it. Thanks everyone that's watched. Please keep the comments coming if you're watching this online. We're going to keep the conversation going here, and thanks everyone that's come tonight. We'll see you next time. If you want to join Talkaoke, we're doing one next Tuesday, the 13th of December. It's just a general chat across on the other side of Aberfeldy Street. You're welcome to come along if you're local. I'm not sure if that one's going to be online. It's not going to be online. So if you're local to Poplar in East London, come along to that one. Thanks everyone from around the world that joined today. We will see you later. I'll give you a little wave. I'm going to turn up the music and turn down me.
Thanks very much. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's opinion. Lovely.
Be safe, Olga. And you.